concave. The real face of Einstein is actually on the other side. Perception is something that can often change right before our very eyes. Here's an example. A contoured sheet with obvious valleys and peaks, but when we take another look, we see that it's perfectly flat. So, what's the reality? It all depends on our perception. What you may perceive as plateaus of truth may actually be mountains of deception. Sometimes it's difficult to label things accurately. Take this display of an object that is shaped like a mouse. Yet, when you rotate it, it evolves into a cat. So which is it really? As opposite as the mouse is from its mortal enemy, the cat, so is the truth opposite from a lie. Truth and illusion often blend together. The examples are all around us. For instance, this structure. Some might call it a box, others a square, still others a cube. But what is the reality? A mass of confusion. Sometimes reality and illusion live side by side. But to understand the difference, you must examine all sides. Take this globe, a perfect symmetrical form. But when we check more closely, the truth is revealed. Remember, check out every angle before you judge. You may be getting only half the story. Observe a perfectly shaped square. We set it spinning, and now it's a perfectly shaped spinning square. But let's change our perspective and see what happens. By carefully blocking out certain parts of the spinning square, it now appears to have a pulsating effect, almost breathing in and out. Of course, it's only an illusion. For what seems to be pulsating with lies may just be truth with a spin on it. We've all seen paintings that seem to follow us as we move around the room. But what do you make of a painting that changes as we move around it? This is a picture of a cityscape. Look at it straight on, and you see the fronts of the building. But move around it, and the sides of the building come into view. How is this possible? The ingenious artist painted this picture on a canvas with ridges, so as you move, your perspective constantly changes. Can you really believe your eyes? Look at this checkerboard design. Your eyes will tell you that this square is darker than this one. Now, let's take a closer look. As you can see, both squares are exactly the same shade. What might at first seem to be black or white may turn out to be equal shades of gray. What's real and what is illusion? And can we really tell the difference? Observe this still picture of a fire. It contains absolutely no movement at all. Now, I ask you to stare at this spiral. Begin now. Don't close your eyes or turn your head away from the set. Just continue to concentrate on the spinning circle. Or should I say circles within circles within circles. And now, look at our still picture of the fire again. This time there is movement, but you are providing the illusion of movement with your own eyes. Can you really trust your own judgment? For example, observe these two red lines. Which one seems longer to you? Most people would say this one. Here's the truth. They're both exactly the same size. An upside-down portrait of a vaguely familiar face. At first blush, it appears to be a normal photograph viewed from an unusual angle. But let's turn it over. My apologies to any children we just frightened, especially mine. As you can see, the photo is not what we expected. Our eyes processed false information to our brain, and we were tricked. Observe this scale model of an ambulance. It appears to be a detailed, three-dimensional object with depth we can see. But what is it really? As As you can see, it has no depth at all. It's a shell. Examine, if you will, two sculptures of different sizes. Obviously, this one is larger than this one. But is it really? Now you can see they're exactly the same size. An interesting lesson in perspective. Take a look at the normal-looking man in the background and the miniature, childlike figure in the foreground. Is it possible they're really the same size? It's not only possible, it's an absolute fact. We've all heard the phrase, 2 heads are better than 1. But does 1 head ever take the place of 2? Take this picture. The only head in sight belongs to former First Lady, Lady Bird Johnson. But whose body does her head belong to? The lady on the left or the one on the right? As you may know, it's a difficult challenge, but we thought you'd appreciate a heads up. Sometimes truth and illusion are one and the same. For example, this simple spiral. It measures precisely 13 inches. Now, watch as I stretch it out. What does it measure now? Exactly the same. The truth is that it only appears to be stretching out. Nothing about its measurements are changing. Truth and illusion side by side. In trying to determine truth, we must examine things from all angles. For example, this sculpture, when viewed head-on, is a simple, clean cube shape. But turn it around to another angle. Look what's revealed. A mass of different shapes and lines that was previously hidden from view. Just like this metal sculpture, while you think you see something clearly, the truth may be hiding just around the corner. You are about to witness an illusion known as the impossible fork. Observe this illustration. At the top, we see the start of a fork with the tines directed downward. Certainly possible. Now, focus on the bottom half of the illustration. Here we see the tines of the fork. Also definitely possible. But viewed together at the same time, we see 2 tines that begin at the top become 3 tines at the bottom. An impossible situation. Keep an open mind, for just when you think you're traveling down the clear pathway of truth, you may encounter an impossible fork in the road. To those of us with a sense of organization, it's a satisfying feeling to see a well-drawn design. Now, look at this checkerboard. The squiggly lines seem to go against everything we expect. It almost looks as though the lines have been drawn freehand. But here's the truth. The lines that appear to be uneven are absolutely straight. The illusion is created by the placement of the small designs within the checkerboard. From a distance, our eyes still lie to us even though we know the truth. Although we may seem to be telling you the truth, we don't always walk a straight line.